So today we're looking at a lot of things. The first part is presenting argument. You can also follow along on this bottom bar here and see exactly where we're up to. So we'll look at our oral task first, then argument analysis. And there's a bigger section on this time than previous lectures because it's part of your unit 4. So we'll be spending quite a bit of time on argument analysis. There's the little section on audio-visual argument analysis as well, which has been added to the study design. And then text response and creating text, we'll be doing a bit of a revision on that as well. So throughout the live broadcast of this lecture, you have the live chat Q&A on the same page that you're watching from. And I will be present during the session time, so during those 2 hours throughout. So this is your time to ask any questions about any of the areas of studying English or, study tips and tricks, anything like that, as I will be answering all of you guys' questions live. So make use of that opportunity. And under resources on the same page, you are also able to download the lesson slides as well. So let's have a chat about presenting argument. Your oral, and the aim is to use persuasive language techniques to persuade your audience of your contention and back this up with sub-arguments. So the requirement of this task is that you choose a recent issue that has been in Australian media in this past year. So must be a relevant, current, meaningful issue that you choose. And just like the argument analysis articles that you study, you're basically writing your own persuasive piece to deliver it in an oral manner. So making sure it is engaging when you present it verbally. You're making use of body language, any props, maybe like a PowerPoint presentation or something to go with it. And also planning your vocal effects, such as your pauses, intonations, changes in tone, stress, all of those things as well to get those high marks. Now, the time limit generally varies depending on your school, but the time limit may limit how much detail you can go into when giving a specific argument, but ultimately, you must have 3 arguments for this task, as well as a counter argument. So generally, your first argument within your oral will be about introducing the issue and the main reason of why you are for or against that issue. Then you have your second argument, and for your counter argument, for your third argument, you should have a counter argument as well as a rebuttal. Okay, so some people also disagree with me, and some stakeholders think this about an issue, and they have the opposite point of view to me. But then this is also wrong, and here's why. That's basically what a rebuttal should look like, okay? It's basically like reverse engineering, analyzing argument, because it's exactly, instead of analyzing a persuasive piece, now your aim is to write one and present it. Don't inform, persuade. So nothing is worse than an unengaging oral that has too much of a logical tone to it, that is littered with all of these statistics and evidence and quotes forming the backbone of the whole oral presentation. What students score well are the students that create an engaging piece. So making use of humor, making use of a persona, making use of emotive language, adding lots of engaging appeals to different groups, using anecdotal evidence. All of these things are the things that will make you stand out. And the things that I notice about pieces that don't do so well is, they might be littered with rhetorical questions or an abundance of evidence rather than being engaging. And listeners will become disengaged, and your assessor will become disengaged too. Your aim overall is to tell your audience what you think, feel, believe, and make them think, feel, believe it too. So the aim is to be convincing, and you having lots of PLTs to ensure this. So it's your unit 4 SAC, and the way it's split basically is you get 75% marks from the actual presentation, from the oral itself, and then you get 25% of marks from your statement of intention or your written explanation, which is very, very similar to creating text. The written explanation you write there, it's basically the same thing. Except now, when you're analyzing your deliberate language choices, you should be analyzing your PLTs, your persuasive language techniques, and applying the what, how, why process of analysis. We'll revise that again today. But basically, that's your intended effect with regards to your audience of these PLTs, as well as how does the language or the PLTs you've used help to make your argument or contention more convincing overall and enhance it. So that's different because your analysis in the statement of intention for creating text was more like a text response. But this statement of intention is more like an argument analysis essay that is informal, written in first person, where you're completing the what, how, why process of analysis on yourself. Time restrictions vary, generally 5 to 6 minutes. So you do need to time yourself when you have your final draft and how long it takes you to deliver. Being mindful that delivering an oral too slowly or speaking too quickly are also really unengaging things. So if you have an oral that's way over time, be sure to cut down rather than to try to make it work by talking very quickly. And the requirement that I mentioned, the issue you choose must have appeared in the Australian media since September 2023, so the start of uh, basically one up to 1 year before your start of exam period.